Greg, thank you very much. Well, as you can see down on the field, the players are lined up along the baselines. It's an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball. A little bit warm, but we'll take it. Not a cloud in the sky, and this is always such a great time in any All-Star game when we get to introduce the players to all of you, those who have been so good in the first half to earn their way to this 81st Major League Baseball All-Star game. First, let's meet the National League All-Star team. The coaches. From the San Diego Padres, Bud Black. And from the San Francisco Giants, Bruce Bochy. And now the players. From the Arizona Diamondbacks, Chris Young. From the Atlanta Braves, Omar Infante. Tim Hudson. Brian McCann. And Jason Hayward. From the Chicago Cubs, Marlon Byrd. From the Cincinnati Reds, Brandon Phillips. Joey Votto. Scott Rowland. And Arthur Rhodes. From the Colorado Rockies, Troy Tulowitzki. From the Florida Marlins, Josh Johnson. From the Houston Astros, Michael Bourne. From the Los Angeles Dodgers, Rafael Furcal. Jonathan Broxton. And Hong Chi Kuo. From the Milwaukee Brewers, Giovanni Gallardo. From the New York Mets, Jose Reyes. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Roy Halladay. From the Pittsburgh Pirates, Evan Meek. From the St. Louis Cardinals, Matt Holliday. Chris Carpenter. And Adam Wainwright. From the San Diego Padres, Heath Bell. And Adrian Gonzalez. From the San Francisco Giants, Brian Wilson. And Tim Lincecum. From the Washington Nationals, Matt Capps. Now let's meet the American League All-Star team. First, the coaches. From your Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Mike Scioscia. From the Oakland A's, Bob Guerin. Now the players. From the Baltimore Orioles, Ty Wigginton. From the Boston Red Sox, Clay Buchholz. Dustin Pedroia. Adrian Beltre. John Lester. David Ortiz. And Victor Martinez. From the Chicago White Sox, Paul Konerko. And Matt Thornton. From the Cleveland Indians, Fausto Carmona. From the Detroit Tigers, Justin Verlander. And Jose Valverde. From the Kansas City Royals, Joakim Soria. From the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Jared Weaver. And Torrey Hunter. From the New York Yankees, Alex Rodriguez, Nick Swisher, Andy Pettit, CC Sabathia, and Phil Hughes. From the Oakland Athletics, Andrew Bailey and Trevor Cahill. From the Tampa Bay Rays, Rafael Soriano. From the Texas Rangers, Elvis Andrus, Ian Kinsler, Neftali Feliz, and Cliff Lee. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Vernon Wells, John Buck, and Jose Bautista. And now let's meet the National League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the 2009 National League champion Philadelphia Phillies, Charlie Manuel. Leading off and playing shortstop from the Florida Marlins, Hanley Ramirez. Batting second and playing second base from the Atlanta Braves, Martin Prado. Batting third and playing first base from the St. Louis Cardinals, Albert Pujols. Batting fourth, the designated hitter from the Philadelphia Phillies, Ryan Howard. Batting fifth and playing third base from the New York Mets, David Wright. Batting sixth and playing left field from the Milwaukee Brewers, Ryan Braun. Batting seventh and playing center field from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Andre Ethier. Batting eighth and playing right field from the Milwaukee Brewers, Corey Hart. Batting ninth and catching from the St. Louis Cardinals, Yadier Molina. And in the dugout, pitching tonight's game for the National League from the Colorado Rockies, Ubaldo Jimenez. And now let's meet the American League manager and starting lineup. The manager from the 2009 World Series champion New York Yankees, Joe Girardi. Leading off and playing right field from the Seattle Mariners, Ichiro Suzuki. Batting second and playing shortstop from the New York Yankees, Derek Jeter. Batting third and playing first base from the Detroit Tigers, Miguel Cabrera. Batting fourth and playing center field from the Texas Rangers, Josh Hamilton. Batting fifth, the designated hitter from the Texas Rangers, Vladimir Guerrero. Batting sixth and playing third base from the Tampa Bay Rays, Evan Longoria. Batting seventh and catching from the Minnesota Twins, Joe Mauer. Batting eighth and playing second base from the New York Yankees, Robinson Cano. Batting ninth and playing left field from the Tampa Bay Rays, Carl Crawford. And the starting pitcher for the American League, warming up in the bullpen from the Tampa Bay Rays, David Price. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2010 American League and National League All-Stars. Tonight, as we celebrate the spirit of philanthropy, we pause to remember the life and legacy of one of baseball's most iconic figures, the boss, George Steinbrenner, who passed away this morning at the age of 80. His unbridled passion for family, charity, and winning with his beloved New York Yankees, including 7 World Series championships, marked the cornerstone of a great American life. In his memory, please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. To honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome once again Amber Riley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We will take a quick break and then come back and set up tonight's All-Star game right after this as we continue from Anaheim.
Please welcome one of the game's all-time great hitters and the 16th player in Major League history to record 3,000 career hits. He played right here in Anaheim from 1979 through 1985 and was a key member of the Angels' first 2 American League Western Division championship teams in 1979 and 1982. Ladies and gentlemen, 7-time batting champion and Baseball Hall of Famer, Rod Carew, to throw to Torrey Hunter.
That was a solid first pitch. He had some heat on it. Good way to get this thing going. We'll come back and talk about this 81st MLB All-Star game right after this. And welcome to what is a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky here in Anaheim, California. It's in the mid-80s, and it's the American League taking on the National League. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck. Tim McCarver's coming right up. Well, the weather couldn't be any better. For the National League, they're going, when can we win one of these things? It's been forever. And if you look at this setup and this matchup, you've got an American League lineup that is as good as we've seen in a long, long time. But, Tim McCarver, you've got a National League side that, with their starting pitchers, might be able to hold that lineup in check.
Well, great pitching in both leagues has been the trend through the first half of the season, and the National League hopes it continues tonight. And why not, with Ubaldo Jimenez as the starter, the best record in baseball, 15-1, the best earned run average in baseball, Josh Johnson, then Adam Wainwright, and Roy Halladay with a perfect game to his credit. Those 4 guys, by the way, their combined record this year, 47-16. Not bad.
Okay, so who wins?
Say it. I think the American League has the advantage still, even with the pitching of the NL.
I picked the NL, and it's been forever since the National League won this thing. We are in Anaheim. It's Angels Stadium. And we're about to play baseball. 84 degrees and literally not a cloud in the sky. Here are both lineups brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun, and from 2 special guests from the Boys and Girls Clubs of America.
Hello, my name is Esther Madrigal, and here is the starting lineup for the National League. First, batting is Hanley Ramirez. Second, Martin Prado. Third, Albert Pujols. Fourth, Ryan Howard. Fifth, David Wright. Sixth, Ryan Braun. And from our local LA Dodgers, Andre Ethier is 7th. 8th, Corey Hart. And 9th for Yadier Molina.
Hi, my name is Zaire McClure, and I'm announcing the starting lineup for the American League. The first batter is Ichiro Suzuki. The second batter is Derek Jeter. The third batter is Miguel Cabrera. The fourth batter is Josh Hamilton. The fifth batter is Vlad Guerrero, and the Angels miss you. The sixth batter is Evan Longoria. The seventh batter is Joe Mauer. The eighth batter is Robinson Cano. And the ninth batter is Kyle Crawford.
Bravo, bravo.
How cute was that? And he's right. The Angels do miss Vladimir Guerrero. And here are the numbers for David Price. He gets the ball here to start the game for the American League, taking on the National League side. And we will run through the lineup one more time for you before we start. And it's our sprint pitcher profile for the lefty from Tampa Bay.
For David Price, first-time All-Star, second left-hander selected from the Rays. The first was Scott Kazmir. And David Price, also the first Rays pitcher to start an All-Star game.
And so while he gets ready, we will remind you that this game is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the thirst inning, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. And now the forward keys to the game, AL, NL.
Hard to figure out what's going to happen, but I think the National League has to take advantage of their pitchers more than the American League. What a lineup the American League has. As an example, Joe Mauer, who's won 3 batting titles, is batting 7th. So I think the American League's got to use it, and we'll see how they do against the National League pitching.
So that's your team. You're picking the AL again here tonight.
I'm leaning toward the AL, yes.
So you're going to broadcast with a heavy bias against the National League. Is that what we're talking about?
No, that's not what we're talking about.
Here's Hanley Ramirez, who is the shortstop for the Florida Marlins.
I will say this, Joe, that if the National League wins this game, Hanley Ramirez will be a star. He is some ball player.
Big, strong shortstop from the Florida Marlins, and we're going to see a lot of that here tonight. A couple of things. Hitters don't want to get into hitting counts where they're behind on the count with the kind of firepower they're going to see on the mound. And secondly, you can see the shadow or the glare behind the pitcher. Here early, it's going to be very hard to see the ball and hit it. There's a strike in the count 0-2. Hanley Ramirez, 2006 Rookie of the Year. Only player in the last 3 years with 20 or more homers, 25 or more stolen bases. And across baseball has the most home runs at that position. He is, as I said, big and strong, really put together. Martin Prado on deck, and then Albert Pujols here to start for the National League. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Foul backing out of play. 99 miles per hour from the lefty David Price. Part of that great young pitching that the Tampa Bay Rays feature down in Florida.
Particularly their starters. You're going to see high 90s and even 100 miles an hour tonight. Maybe from Jimenez in the bottom of this inning.
Little roller to the first baseman. Cabrera takes it to the bag. His first time as an AL All-Star, and that's out number 1. So we'll just give you the numbers and talk about this streak that the American League has been on. Unbeaten in 13 straight. There was the tie in 2002. 7 straight wins since then, and that means 7 straight wins since the This Time It Counts campaign, where the winner of this game, that league, will have home field advantage in this year's World Series.
Joe, you talked about how difficult it is to see, and that's certainly the case. Martin Prado asking Ramirez as he went to the plate about how it was to see, and Ramirez didn't give him a real positive answer.
So with 1 out, here's Martin Prado, who's hitting .325, and that average leads the National League. And just poured in at 98 for strike 1. We're not going to see a lot of offense tonight.
No. That's some high-octane gas from Price.
1 out, nobody on, and Prado from the Atlanta Braves takes a breaking ball for strike number 2. On deck is Pujols. David Price is the youngest All-Star starter since Doc Gooden, the age of 23, started in '88. Obviously representing the New York Mets. Price is 24 and kicking it for a moment, but recovering with a good play is Cano. And it's 2 out, nobody on, and that was a good play on a tough chance to his left.
That ball in between Hop, and Robinson Cano has a shortstop's arm at second base, and that's why he made that play relatively easily, even after the boot, retrieving and had Prado easily.
Here comes Albert Pujols, who is 6 for 17 in past All-Star games. Wearing a new helmet designed by Rawlings. It's a little smaller than the one they came out with last year to try and help guard against concussions and head injuries. First pitch is low for ball 1. And a chopper foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Albert Pujols is on pace with what he's done so far in the first half of 2010 to become the first player in Major League Baseball history to have 10 straight seasons of 30 or more home runs, 100 or more RBIs, and an average of 300 or better.
Babe Ruth did it 8 times. Lou Gehrig and Pujols have done it 9 times.
That's high for ball 2. Pujols, a 3-time MVP, the Rookie of the Year in 2001. And he's right in the middle with Gehrig to his right, Babe Ruth to his left. Here's a 2-1. That is a rocket into right center field. Ichiro over to get it, and the inning is over. And somebody gets a souvenir out in the seats in right center field. The 2010 All-Star Game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun by DirecTV. Watch and record in multiple rooms with just 1 DVR. And by freecreditscore.com. Get your score. Here is Ubaldo Jimenez. What else do you want a guy to do in the first half of the season? A record of 15-1. And that fastball rides up and away to Ichiro to start his night. Third Dominican-born pitcher to start an All-Star game after Mario Soto in '83, Pedro Martinez, Ubaldo's idol, in '99. Little pop-up left side of the field. Hanley Ramirez is out. That's out number 1. And now for a special moment, let's throw it to public address announcer David Courtney.
Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our next batter, we turn to the voice of legendary New York Yankee public address announcer Bob Shepard, who passed away this weekend at the age of 99.
Now batting for the American League from the New York Yankees, the shortstop, number 2, Derek Jeter. Number 2.
And that's how Derek Jeter will walk to the plate the rest of his time as a Yankee. Passing away this past weekend, Bob Shepard at the age of 99 as Ubaldo Jimenez misses low with ball 1.
And you mentioned George Steinbrenner at the age of 80. Rest assured there will be 2 more monuments added to Monument Park at Yankee Stadium next year.
Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Jeter. That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. And for Bob Shepard, just his speech and overall presence seemed like a last link to the precision and elegance of another era. The way he did that job was better than anybody who's ever done it. 96-mile-per-hour fastball rides up and in and sends Jeter back to the on-deck circle.
Fastball up and in to Derek Jeter. And you get the feeling with the arms that both sides have that only a pitcher who gets wild is going to be the guy who gets in trouble.
There's a strike on 3-0. Add to that, when you've got 96 that's riding up and in and you can't see it with the glare behind the pitcher, can't be a very comforting feeling. With 1 out, nobody on, walk to Jeter. So Jeter, who's a career .429 hitter during All-Star game play, is on with 1 out, and Miguel Cabrera is coming up. And here is the sprint pitcher profile for Jimenez.
It's just like David Price of the Rays, first-time All-Star selection for Jimenez, and the first Rockies pitcher to start an All-Star game.
So with 1 on, 1 out, first pitch is a strike on the inside corner to Miguel Cabrera. It's Cabrera now. It's Josh Hamilton on deck, right in the middle of this American League lineup. And a little flare into right field is going to drop for a base hit. Derek Jeter will turn and go to third. And just like that, the American League has first and third with 1 out in the first inning.
Cabrera jammed on the pitch, but strong enough to get it over the head of Martin Prado. Jeter, an outstanding base runner, off at the crack of the bat. He didn't wait, going to third easily.
So for a guy in Miguel Cabrera, who's the first Tiger to have 20 homers, over 70 RBIs, 330-plus batting average at the break, first guy to do it for the Tigers since Norm Cash in 1961. Having an MVP-type season, he's on at first, and another guy doing a lot of the same things is at the plate, and Josh Hamilton. For the first place, Texas Rangers, and a breaking ball falls in for strike 1. Jimenez certainly has the ability with his pitching stuff. He struck out 113 so far in the first half to get out of this. And he's ahead on the count 0-2 to Hamilton. That's as hard as Ubaldo has thrown in this first inning, 98.
That was a late swing, and I don't think Hamilton saw that pitch that well.
Infield is in a bit. The 0-2 pitch. Back to Jimenez to second, out. Hanley Ramirez in the middle, and we're scoreless through 1. For the National League, it'll be the heart of their lineup. Ryan Howard, David Wright, Ryan Braun against the left-hander, David Price. It is 2 and out for David Price in all likelihood. Same for Jimenez, who'll go back out there for another. And a fastball is poured in for a strike, and you can see some of the reactions these hitters are having. Pujols had a reaction coming back after lining out into right center field to end the top of the first inning that tells you all you need to know about how hard it is to see from the batter's box. One ball, one strike on Ryan Howard.
Facing the best pitchers in the game.
Yeah,
and the
luck.
hardest throwers.
Yeah, have a nice night.
All right.
Have fun. Enjoy yourself. 2 balls and a strike to the 2005 Rookie of the Year, the 2006 MVP, Andy Pettitte, getting loose. He'll be next in for the AL. Howard just gets a piece. The count 2-2. For Ryan, he's had at least 45 home runs and at least 135 RBIs in each of the last 4 years. That's the best streak among active players.
Saw Andy Pettitte. Cliff Lee will follow Andy Pettitte. So Price, Pettitte, and Lee, the first 3 American League pitchers tonight.
A strikeout is the first of the night for either side. It belongs to David Price. It's the way the second inning begins.
98-mile-an-hour fastball gets Ryan Howard. I figure if there are a lot of balls where hitters make contact, they're going to hit the ball the other way. That's how hard both pitchers are throwing.
You mentioned the AL side. For the National League, it'll be Jimenez and then Josh Johnson, and it could be 2 and 2 from each. And Josh Johnson, if you don't know about him, has the best ERA in baseball at 1.7. Strike one on David Wright. David Wright represents the Mets. Had a great June, hit .404, 29 RBIs, was the player of the month. He's hit .386 overall since June 11th. That's the opposite way. Cano dives, knocks it down, and can't make the play. Had a couple of cracks at it and just lost it. David Wright is on with 1 out, and they rule it a base hit.
It was a tough play for Cano, similar to that play that he made on Prado. But when he finally came up with it, he dropped it. And David Wright has the first National League hit.
Who are the umpires in this game? Mike Riley is the crew chief. He's behind home plate. Mike Winters is at first. Brian O'Nora at second. Laz Diaz at third. Bruce Dreckman down the left field line, and Jim Wolfe down the right field line. Batter is Ryan Braun, who's hitting .292, 13 home runs, 54 RBIs for the Brewers. We've had a disappointing first half. NL Central is led by Cincinnati. They have a 1-game lead over St. Louis. Milwaukee's 8.5 out. And the production for Ryan Braun, former Rookie of the Year, is down so far here in 2010. A base hit by Wright, his 5th in an All-Star game, and that is a foul ball down the third baseline. Holiday Inn, the official partner of Road Trips, and MLB are supporting the Susan G. Komen Foundation and Stand Up to Cancer with a $1,000 donation for every hit during the game tonight.
This was a road trip that every player in uniform was glad to take and glad to make.
And how many people got on airline waiting lists, got on the plane because there were big leaguers who were canceling trips for about a 3-day stretch there as the rosters were evolving up until yesterday.
That's right.
98-mile-an-hour fastball misses, up and away, 2-1. Ryan Braun is 0 for 5 in All-Star action. And as you see, the first Brewer to start 3 consecutive All-Star games. Here's a 2-1. Shattered bat. Longoria gets the lead man and got them both. 5-4-3 on the double play, and well turned by Longoria and Cano in the middle. Bottom of the second rolls in Anaheim. No score. Well, he's back, and he's an American League All-Star representing Texas. Vladimir Guerrero.
Most RBIs and home runs for any player who changed teams last winter. What a year he is having for the Rangers.
Fastball is poured in for a strike from Jimenez. Vladimir Guerrero's 35. Spent 6 years here with the Angels. He's gotten his legs back. It took him a year to get over knee surgery. something that slowed him down last year. But his numbers and his production from last year to this year, it's been a drastic jump. You look at most all time, the 300 average, 25 or more home run seasons. He's on the list with some of the greats of the game. He chases a pitch in the dirt, and Vladimir is gone. And he swings at anything.
Waving at that 2-strike pitch, that was toes high.
Is that the cast of Glee that recorded that for us, or was that someone else? It was. Thank you. Pitch up and in, and the count 2-0. And Longoria's heart's about to jump out of his uniform top watching these upper 90s fastballs right up and in under his chin.
Well, the thing about Jimenez's fastball is it's not only fast, it's hard. David Price throws a light, high fastball, not Jimenez.
But it's such an easy delivery.
Yeah. Well, he's a big, strong guy.
26 years old, signed as a 17-year-old out of the Dominican Republic. Fires a strike. And a player who lives in downtown Denver, walks to and from the ballpark, and lives with his mother and father.
About a 5-minute walk from Coors Field.
Here's a shot into left field off the bat of Longoria and past the outstretched glove of Ryan Braun. It's a 1-out double, and the first extra base hit belongs to Longoria.
Longoria lightning fast inside. American League pitchers know that, not National Leaguers, however. Longoria from Downey, California, about 20 minutes from here. That's the hardest hit ball by far from either side thus far.
Went to Long Beach State Rookie of the Year in 2008. And he's a guy that just came to the big leagues looking like he'd been here for 10 years.
Yep.
And about 6 minutes later, the Rays signed him to a contract extension. Here's a pitch inside to Joe Mauer, who is a 3-time American League batting champion, batting in the number 7 spot. And off to a slow start by his standards, hitting just .293. That's off the end of the bat into left center field, and Ethier, who has never played center field in the big leagues, makes the catch. Little nod out to the mound, and Jimenez from Robinson Cano, who is 5th in the American League with that average of .336, and a guy who you believe someday will win a batting title.
We did our first game, our first Saturday game was Tampa Bay against the Yankees this year, and I think at Robinson Cano sometime in the next 5 years will win a batting title.
And he's almost in that MVP type category because that back shoulder stays up. He gets great backspin on the ball, and he has as much power as anybody in this lineup today.
And he has 10 home runs against left-handed pitching this year.
Pulled the string, Jimenez did, in the count 1 ball 1 strike. He leads second baseman across baseball with his hit total since his debut on May the 3rd of 2005, and he's hit 16 home runs, tied for 10th in the AL with 58 RBIs. A 1-1. Chop to the right side. Martin Prado takes care of it. We've played 2 scoreless in Anaheim. Back after this from your local Fox station. Aerial coverage tonight brought to you by DirecTV. Now all the TVs in your home can be connected to just one DVR. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Andy Pettitte into the game. He has put together one of, if not the best, first halves of the season in his long career. He's 38. He's front and center when the Yankees won it all in 1996. And he deals with Andre Ethier, who fouls it away. Strike 2. Ethier is making the start playing center field, as I mentioned, for the first time in his major league career. He made the putout on the ball hit by Mauer in the second. Representing the Dodgers, had a very good start to the season, and he is out on the strikeout to begin Andy Pettitte's night.
He cut fastball. Andy Pettit's made a lot of money on that pitch.
In his career, this is his best winning percentage after a half at 11-2. And it's his best ERA, Andy Pettit, after half the season. It's at 2.70. For the first place Yankees, the team with the best record in the game. Here is Corey Hart. And from the Milwaukee Brewers, he takes a strike.
There's a lot of talk about the core four. Those are the four players with the Yankees: Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, that will be in the Hall of Fame. Then there's Andy Pettit and Jorge Posada. Andy Pettit is 103 games over 500. No pitcher in the history of baseball has ever been 100 games over 500 and not gone into the Hall of Fame. So you might book him there too.
On 0-2, that pitch is outside. A ball and 2 strikes on Corey Hart. Hart's first half. He already hit more home runs here in 2010 than he did all of last year. He's hit 21. That's tied for the 3rd best total in the National League. And he just ticks it into the glove of Joe Mauer, and that's back-to-back strikeouts for Andy Pettit.
Another cutter out of the strike zone. So Hart down on strikes.
And he did not get a piece of it. That was a swing and a miss, and that noise was the baseball hitting the dirt. Scooped up by Mauer, and it's 2 out, nobody on for the number 9 man, Yadier Molina, who's having a disappointing year swinging the bat. And he grounds it right up the middle with a base hit. That's the 2nd hit of the night for the National League. And Yadier, who had a hit and an RBI in last year's All-Star game, is on. Turn the lineup over and get it back to Hanley Ramirez. Ken Rosenthal is with us weekend after weekend. And Ken, this is a special night and a special time here in Southern California for Andy Pettit.
It sure is, Joe. This is his first All-Star appearance since 2001. His oldest sons, Josh and Jared, were 6 and 3 then. Now they're 15 and 12, and all they want to do is shag fly balls in the outfield.
Well, they've done that, and now they've watched their dad pitch a scoreless first inning of work. Well, maybe it's an introduction to biggest audience for Josh Johnson, the hard-throwing right-hander. Underwent Tommy John surgery in August of 2007. And less than a year removed from Tommy John surgery, Johnson has won 31 of his last 40 decisions, and he has the best ERA in baseball. Carl Crawford first up, took a strike, and now a ball. So in this case, it's Josh Johnson who is throwing for the first time to Yadier Molina as Crawford fouls it out of play. And in the top of this inning, it was Joe Mauer catching Andy Pettit for the first time. And we'll play you their conversation when Andy came to the mound. Right now, here's what the two said to one another.
Hey, Andy. What do you got for me? Fastball? You need to know sinker or four-seamer? I'd like to, yeah. Okay. You want me to wiggle one for sinker? Yeah. Okay. Straight one for four-seamer? Okay. 3 over cutter? Okay. Third ball shoot, fourth changeup. Okay. Sounds good. First time out of the stretch. First time. Sounds good. All right, but I'll keep it in front of you, right?
That first question was the most important. Do you want to know whether the fastball's a sinker or a cutter? Because they're on either sides of the plate. The cutter is on the right-hand side of the plate, inside the right-handers, and the sinker outside the right-handed batters. So catchers like to know that.
Ichiro, his first time, popped up. Now he's in the hole 1 and 2. Joe Mauer was 12 years old when Andy Pettit came to the big leagues. Minnesota native. Ichiro strikes out, and Johnson just blew it by him at 98 miles per hour. 2 out in the bottom of the 3rd.
So what does Josh Johnson feature? He's got a fastball, a changeup, and a slider. And all 3 pitches are among the top 10 It's certainly in the National League, maybe in baseball. All 3 pitches. That's why his earned run average is 170 coming in.
Josh Johnson, part of a Marlin team that surprised everybody last season by finishing second, as that one's just poured in for strike one. Second in their division behind Philadelphia, who made it to the World Series and lost to Derek Jeter and the Yankees. Jeter walked his first time, and now a late swing and a foul for strike 2. I mean, right now it just doesn't even look fair. Not that baseball, the matchup of anybody trying to hit these pitchers.
Seems like one of those games where you should have started the game in the 4th inning.
Especially with what's going on behind the pitcher and the hitter's backdrop, as that drives Derek Jeter off the plate with 2 out, nobody on, ball 1.
That's the second time Jeter has been driven back off the plate. First by Jimenez and now by Johnson.
Whether intentional or not, if you're Josh Johnson and you have the ability to pitch inside and do that, comes inside again with his pitching stuff. It's the reason why his ERA is 1.7. Own the inside part of the plate, no matter who's up there, and in this case it's Derek Jeter, who has more hits than any Yankee in New York Yankee history, with 2,847.
So he is 153 hits shy of becoming the first Yankee ever to have 3,000 hits.
And this is his 11th time as an American League All-Star. A 1-2. 2-2. His contract is finished after this year. He had a career year in some respects last year at the age of 35. His numbers are down this year, but I would be shocked if he goes anywhere and if he plays in any uniform other than the one he's wearing the rest of his time in the big leagues. Yankee captain with a full count, 3-2. The 2 out, nobody on, 3-2 pitch is fouled out of play. This may surprise you. Derek Jeter, through 36 years old, 17 days, has more hits than Pete Rose did at that age, and Pete, the all-time career hits leader, with 4,256. 3-2. Breaking ball has Jeter frozen and sends us into the 4th. Chevrolet is proud to support youth baseball and is offering future All-Stars a ballpark makeover. Go to ChevyBaseball.com to enter your community. Great effort, worthwhile, and now as we go to the 4th inning with no score and very little action, Torrey Hunter takes over in center field. The 9-time Gold Glove Award winner. Josh Hamilton moves over to right. Ichiro's out. Hunter will bat in the leadoff spot, and here's Prado going after the first pitch. Grounds to Jeter in the hole. Long throw for the out. 1 away. The new pitcher is Cliff Lee. The often talked about Cliff Lee, and it finally happened. He was traded to the Texas Rangers on Friday, and the guy who told Cliff Lee to go pitch in this 4th inning, Joe Girardi, is the manager of the Yankees and the manager of the American League side, and we haven't seen much offense with the, I would imagine, the hitter's backdrop. It's tough to see down there.
It is tough to see, and until these shadows go away, it's going to be tough. And when you have guys with the velocity that they do, it even makes it harder.
Joe and Joe, I don't know if you realize this or not, but guess whose house Cliff Lee was renting in Seattle?
I have no idea.
Jamie Moyer's.
Aha. From one lefty to another.
Yeah, that's right. Everything in the house is left-handed.
0-2 is the count on Pujols, and now a strikeout on 3 pitches. We have to ask you, we talked about it in your office, Joe, about how your day started, getting the message and learning of the passing of George Steinbrenner. I know you manage this game, and you have a lot of players with you with heavy hearts tonight.
Yeah, our hearts are extremely heavy. He meant so much to the New York Yankees, the city of New York, and to us individually. I mean, I think about how he's changed my career. He brought me over as a player. I had a chance to win 3 championships, and I don't think if I don't have that relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner, I'm probably not managing here, and I'm probably not managing as quickly in the big leagues had I not had a chance to play in the World Series. So he has changed my life dramatically, and for that I am forever grateful. And we're just going to miss him. He would show up in the clubhouse in Tampa when we were playing the Rays, and it just seemed to fire all the guys up, and he's that kind of guy.
Here's a broken back ground ball to the right side. Cano makes the play. Joe, thanks for your time. We'll talk more about Mr. Steinbrenner. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks, guys.
It's Joe Girardi. We're through 3.5 in Anaheim. No score. Miguel Cabrera singled his first time. He takes a 97-mile-per-hour fastball down and away from Josh Johnson. Adrian Gonzalez takes over at first base. Albert Pujols' night is over. He'll end it 0 for 2 and now 6 of 19 as an all-star. Counts 2-0. Cabrera, then Josh Hamilton, then Vladimir Guerrero. Very little action. Pitching dominated through the first 3.5, and now David Wright to his left takes care of Cabrera. 1 out. Cabrera is gone, and Josh Hamilton will be the batter. And if anything starts to shake loose, Hong-Chi Kuo is getting ready in the bullpen. He has been absolutely lethal against left-handed hitters so far in 2010.
0 for 31 left-handed hitters against Kuo so far this year.
And now Verlander, who was a late addition, Justin Verlander of the Tigers, is getting loose. There's a strike to Josh Hamilton. We talked to Joe Girardi about it. He has every reason to manage this game to win it and try and secure home field advantage. Certainly the same for Charlie Manuel. His Phillies have won the NL pennant the last 2 years. As you know, the winner of this game, that side, gets home field advantage in the upcoming World Series. Why is it a big deal? Since 1985, the team with home field advantage has won 19 of the 24 World Series played. And you see it in the shaping of the rosters. As Hamilton fouls it away, guys like Omar Infante, who can play all over. 3 setup type relievers, now 4 with the addition of Kuo, that are available to each manager total. There's a 1-2. 2-2. There's one big factor, though, that's not here this year for the American League, and that's Mariano Rivera. It was 4 for 4 in save chances in all-star games with an ERA of 0. Here's a fly ball down the left field line. Braun with a diving catch for the out. Ryan Braun in toward the line made the catch to rob Josh Hamilton.
Remember, that ball was tailing away from Braun, and the diving play. A lot of guys get hurt on plays like that because their hand curls up and the body falls on the hand, but Braun appears to be all right.
And a smile on the face of Josh Johnson, the former third baseman who is getting better and better in the outfield. Ryan Braun from LA makes the play, and now the former Angel flails at 1. 98 miles per hour, strike 1. Guerrero struck out his first time. Already 75 RBIs for the Texas Rangers, who at the break lead the Angels by 4.5 games.
And that is the biggest lead of any division, 4.5. So things very, very competitive everywhere.
99 from Johnson. It's 2-1. 50-38 record for the Rangers. That's a soft liner caught by Adrian Gonzalez. We're just settling in, and we're into the 5th. Tim hasn't even finished his hot dog yet. Ryan Braun with a diving catch to his right. No score. David Wright first up for the National League. We're already in the 5th. Wright singled his first time. Braun will follow. Made that great play out in left. And here's David Wright going 2 for 2. And he's now 6 out of 13 during his very impressive young career in all-star game action. Justin Verlander, Tim, takes over on the mound.
Justin Verlander, the hard thrower, and David Wright, the first leadoff batter to get on in this ball game. Things do not get any easier. Verlander, perhaps the hardest thrower on the American League staff.
And what he does that's so impressive is he doesn't top out in the upper 90s or touch 100 every once in a while early. You see him in the 7th, 8th, And if he gets to the 9th inning, still pumping it in there in the upper 90s.
That's a very good point and true.
Verlander, after the leadoff hit, misses inside to Ryan Braun, who bounced into a double play his first time up. Verlander was the 2006 AL Rookie of the Year. Was the first American League starter when he won that award to do it since Dave Righetti in 1981. A check on David Wright at first. Wright has stolen 15 bases in the first half of the season.
And he is a guy who will run. Charlie Manuel saying we'll do anything. We'll put the hit and run on. We'll run tonight. Try to cause something to happen.
There's a foul. Ryan Howard is wearing a mic. Here's what he was saying to himself when Braun made that catch a moment ago.
We got a guy there named Braun. Oh! I'm going to go ahead and say he did that for TV. He could have got there. He could have got there. He just wanted to die for television.
That's Ryan Howard, the DH. There goes Wright. Pitch up and in. Throw down goes into center field, and David Wright doesn't realize it. So he's stuck at second base, unable to pop up and advance, and he's there with nobody out on an All-Star Game steal.
That headfirst slide, that is how Chase Utley of the Philadelphia Phillies tore that left thumb of his. Looked like Cano tried to decoy him, but I think David Wright just didn't realize the ball was a high throw. Didn't take that peek back at the hitter, but a stolen base for David Wright.
I think in Wright's defense, that throw was so bad that he didn't see the shortstop or second baseman struggling to even make a play. That thing looked like it came out sideways out of the hand of Joe Mauer, and Wright unable to locate it and advance. So he's at second, nobody out, and a 2-1 count on Braun. Fastball, foul ball. 99 from Verlander. Does our radar gun go up to 100?
I would think so.
There's Phil Hughes, Southern California native, getting loose in the American League bullpen. One of 2 11-game winners for the Yankees, and Sabathia's won 12. Here comes a 2-2. Breaking ball stays up. Full count. Best opportunity to push one across for the National League. Last 4 All-Star games have been 1-run National League losses.
And the National League's been ahead in all 4 games.
But unable to finish. Here's a 3-2. Strikeout by Verlander, and a big one. Out number 1 here in the 5th.
A tailing fastball inside off the plate, a ball, but Verlander gets Braun to swing at.
It will bring in Andre Ethier, who struck out his first time up.
Andre Ethier, one of the great clutch hitters in the game. 6 walk-off home runs in the last year and a half.
And the first Dodger outfield starter since Darryl Strawberry was voted in. Didn't play back in 1991. So it's been a while, and he takes strike 1. Now the 0-1 is outside. The last Dodger voted in to start, who actually played in the game, you have to go back to Reggie Smith, an outfielder for LA back in 1980. So it's been a while for the Dodgers, and Ethier gets the nod, his first All-Star game. Last year's AL strikeout leader, his 1-1 pitch. Ethier with a base hit into right. Hamilton will come up throwing. They hold the runner right at third, and it's first and third, 1 out. Sam Perlazzo put up the stop sign, and it looks like the right decision.
Well, there's no way that you can know that Josh Hamilton's throw is going to be up the line. And with one out, you have to stop him here. But Ethier, with runners in scoring position, I don't think there's anybody better in the National League or any guy that you'd want up at the plate than Andre Ethier. Those hands go up from Palazzo and the feet stop of Wright.
And it sets up the RBI chance for Corey Hart, who struck out his first time. And he goes after the first one up. Fouls it away, strike one.
Sometimes without ever seeing a hitter hit, you know where to pitch him. Corey Hart's hands are so low that there is no way that he can get on top of a high fastball. And that's where Verlander went. When you hold your hands that low, it's very, very difficult to handle the high fastball.
Here's the 0-1. Nasty pitch from Verlander. Strike two. Does the body, the mannerisms, maybe not the exact stroke of Corey Hart remind you at all of Dave Kingman?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit of Eric Davis, who held his hands low, the great left fielder of the Cincinnati Reds back in the 80s.
Counts 0-2, first and third, one out, and that fastball rides up for ball one. Corey Hart up now. Yadier Molina is on deck. National League had a runner at second, nobody out. Braun struck out. Base hit by Ethier. Hard hit to right. And the 1-2 to Corey Hart. He went around and strikes out. Two out in the inning. Mike Winters rings him up from first. And a big strikeout again for Verlander.
Yeah, after three straight fastballs, the slider, and Hart went too far.
And we're going to have a pinch hitter, and it'll be catcher for catcher. More of an offensive threat is Brian McCann. So Brian McCann will hit, and then he's got the rest of the night behind the plate catching the National League pitching staff. However, if there is an injury, be tragic for the Braves, the first place Atlanta Braves, losing their catcher, but you can bring the other catcher back into the ballgame.
Right.
There's Hong-Chi Kuo. The left-hander getting loose. McCann takes a ball. Brian McCann leads all of baseball at the catching position in home runs. Number 2 in RBIs since his first year in 2005. So a catcher with power. Not the defensive player that Yadier Molina is, but more of a threat swinging the bat. McCann still trying to get loose. A couple of violent swings out away from home plate. Now back in there with a 1-0 count. 2-0. Look at his career slugging percentage, all time by a catcher. Piazza leads the way. He was here in the celebrity softball game on Sunday night. Roy Campanella, and then Brian McCann. Here's a 2-0. Loses the bat. Almost took out Hanley Ramirez in the on deck circle. Strike one. Only in an all-star game do you see this.
Right.
That's Pete McCannon, who was on Charlie Manuel's staff, and he's in charge of keeping the lineup card in order. And you can see him going over the lineup card with Charlie Manuel. Those two have put together the plan for how to get through this roster and save players in case we are tied after 9. Here's a 2-1. 3 balls and a strike.
And it's 4.5 innings away, but if it is tied after 9, keep in mind that the National League has 14 pitchers on their roster. and the American League has 13. So that could come into play later on in the game.
Here's a 3-1. Verlander pulled the string, and it's a full count. That means that the runner at first, Ethier, will take off. So a changeup that drops down and away, and it's a 3-2 count. They'll play behind Ethier at first. Wright led off the inning with a hit, stole a base. He's at third. 3-2. McCann hits it in the air to right. Back is Hamilton, still drifting. In the sunshine on the track to end the inning. The fly ball came one batter too late for the National League. Halfway through it. Bottom of the fifth. AL bats no score. George Takei, Sulu from the Star Trek series and numerous Star Trek movies, is in attendance here tonight as this 81st Major League Baseball All-Star game moves into the bottom of the fifth inning. And there are plenty of changes. Brian McCann stays in the game. He'll catch the rest of the way. Scott Rowland takes over at third base. David Wright is out. Matt Holliday is in the game in left. Ryan Braun is out. Marlon Byrd is in the game in center. Ethier moves from center to right. Corey Hart is out. And off the mound is Josh Johnson. On the mound is Hong-Chi Kuo. And a good time for Kuo. Why? After Evan Longoria, you have Mauer, Cano, Crawford, left-handed batters coming up.
And once again, no left-hander has had a hit off Kuo all year.
2 quick strikes on Longoria. The pitching stuff for Hong-Chi Kuo is good enough to get anybody out. Josh Johnson, 2 innings, all zeros except 2 strikeouts. Now John Lester, a hard-throwing left-hander from the Red Sox, gets loose. Longoria doubled his first time up. It came with 1 out in the second. And a mid-90s fastball misses up and away. Ball 1. Bauer next. He's 0 for 1. Here comes a 1-2 from Kuo. Inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Evan Longoria is not only good on the field, he proved in a dugout incident with B.J. Upton that he's good off the field and as a leader for that young Tampa Bay Rays team. And this is a guy who early on in his playing career was just looking for somebody to notice how good he was and maybe could be. The Rays have him, and they've locked him up. And after an 0-2 count, Evan Longoria is on with a leadoff walk. And now Kuo will get a chance to take on these left-handed batters. Here's Joe Mauer. So Longoria on base for the second time tonight. And Joe Mauer digs his way in with Cano and then Carl Crawford to follow. First All-Star game for Hong-Chi Kuo. And he pours in a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, strike 1.
Thing about Kuo with left-handed batters, almost everything is away. Hard fastballs and the hard slider. Mauer is very adept at going the other way. So he's a different type of left-handed batter than Kuo has faced all year.
Same pitch, same result, 0-2. Now Roy Halladay gets loose alongside Heath Bell, the closer from the first place San Diego Padres. That's with an eye on Torrey Hunter, who follows Carl Crawford, the number 9 man. There's ball 1. Here's a 1-2. Slow chopper. Kuo makes the stop and then throws it away. Down the right field line, getting up and going to third is Longoria. Into second is Mauer, and it's second and third with nobody out. A lollipop throw over to first base and over the head of Adrian Gonzalez for an error on Hong-Chi Kuo.
Well, an easy play, and you see this often with pitchers throwing the bases. We saw it from Mariano Rivera in the 2001 World Series. They're so used to throwing to home plate where every pitch has to move. When they have to throw to a base, they can't do it. Even the simplest things. Scott Kazmir did it in the American League Championship Series last year on a bunt play at Yankee Stadium.
Well, here's Cano, and we'll get an indication as to how good Kuo is against these very good left-handed batters. Here's a pitch down and away for ball one. Cano, his first time, grounded out. A walk, then an error. And a ball low, 2-0. So if you think about it, Kuo had a 0-2 count on Longoria, then threw 4 straight out of the strike zone. Got a chopper back to the mound, or just off the mound, and threw it down the right field line. And just like that, the American League, side that hasn't lost since 1996, has a chance to jump on top. Strike one. Tim mentioned Kuo. Left-handed batters are 0 for 31 during the regular season against this hard-throwing southpaw. And now here's a fly ball into left field, well hit. Sends Holiday back for the out. Tagging and scoring is Longoria. Tagging and staying put is Mauer, and the AL scores first on a sac fly by Robinson Cano.
Hey. Hey, pretty straight.
So the American League is on top on a sacrifice fly to left, and the batter will be Carl Crawford. Crawford lined out to third his first time up. Last year's All-Star Game MVP. Made a brilliant catch, hit a home run, takes a strike. He'll be 29 next month. He's putting together a career-type year. And there will be teams lined up to try and sign him in this upcoming offseason.
I was going to say, it's a good time to do it.
Runner at second, one out, the 0-1. Squirts away from McCann, but not far enough. Bauer stays put, ball one. Lester continues to get loose. Crawford fouls away strike number 2. Carl, he can beat you in so many different ways. He can beat you with a long ball. He can beat you with his singles type hitting. He can beat you with his legs. 4-time American League stolen base leader. He's stolen 31 so far this season. He can run. 1-2 pitch from Kuo. Hard hit to the shortstop Ramirez, who throws to third, and the tag by Rowland, 2 out. Hanley Ramirez with an aggressive play for out number 2 here in the 5th.
And not good base running by Joe Mauer. The rule of thumb is if the ball is hit to your right, you stay at second. That ball was hit to his right, and he's out at third.
So that'll be it for Hong-Chi Kuo. He leaves allowing a walk, committing an error. The AL is on top. Torrey Hunter is coming up. And a pitching change. Here comes Heath Bell. Check on the runner at first. That's Carl Crawford. 2 out in the inning, and Torrey Hunter is the batter. First at bat for the hometowner, representing the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and dealing with Heath Bell, the closer for the Padres, a team that was 20 games out of first at this time last year at the All-Star break. And right now they lead the NL West by 2 games, and they're doing it, Tim, with their pitching staff.
And Bud Black largely responsible for that. He's one of the bench coaches for Charlie Manuel tonight, the manager of the Padres.
There goes Crawford, and an easy steal as McCann dropped it.
Now a big jump by Crawford. I don't think Brian McCann would have had a chance anyway. Crawford, like all great base stealers, he motors immediately. Great acceleration.
Counts 2-0 from Heath Bell, last year's losing pitcher for the National League. Here's a fly ball down the right field line. Ethier in the corner. Ends the inning. We go into the 6th here in the All-Star game. AL now on top, 1-0. Here is the freecreditscore.com in-game box score for the National League. 2 hits for David Wright. His night is finished. A hit for Andre Ethier. He has remained in the game. Molina had a base hit when he was in there and lifted for the pinch hitter Brian McCann. Now John Lester pumps a strike into the new catcher John Buck, representing the Toronto Blue Jays. Ian Kinsler is in the game at second base from the Texas Rangers. Out in the outfield, it's Vernon Wells in left. Hunter stays in center. That's where a 9-time Gold Glove Award winner stays at his natural position. And here is John Lester, 11-3 and an ERA of 2.78 for the Boston Red Sox. The 1-1. Strike 2. Hanley Ramirez at the plate. He's 0 for 2. The injuries that have hit the Boston Red Sox, it borders on ridiculous how many players they have lost. Here's a ground ball that Lester knocks down, has time to pick up and shovel to first, 1 out. Lester has remained healthy. Josh Beckett is working his way back. Dustin Pedroia is here, and All-Star has a broken foot. Clay Buchholz is here, and All-Star has a hamstring pull. Jacoby Ellsbury's been out for most of the year with ribs. Victor Martinez is here, has a broken thumb. Adrian Beltre was even a question mark coming into this All-Star celebration, but he's okay after straining his hamstring. Boy, Halladay is getting loose for the National League as Martin Prado, who's 0 for 2, took a ball outside. Now the 1-0 pitch is down and in, 2-0.
Hard to believe that after 5 years with the Red Sox that this is John Lester's first All-Star game. Remember Terry Francona telling us about 4 years ago that the scouts in the Red Sox system thought that John Lester threw harder than Jonathan Papelbon. You and I both raised our eyes saying, what? Well, he has proven that.
Yeah, and he's really developed into a top of the rotation starter.
He has.
And done so in the absence of Beckett. There's a strike to bring Prado back to the plate. First left-handed starter named to the All-Star team for Boston since Bruce Hurst in '87. Here's a 3-1. Just ripped foul. Prado was waiting for that and pulled the trigger a little too soon. Strike 2. Teammates of Martin Prado will tell you he is an impressive guy. Guy with a great thirst for knowledge, and he has blossomed into a terrific leadoff hitter for the first place Atlanta Braves. Good second baseman as he fouls it back. He kind of reminds some of Placido Polanco, who's now on the disabled list for the Philadelphia Phillies. You can move him around if you need to, but he has really anchored himself at second base.
Yeah, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark too. He has 10 home runs. Surprise power.
With 1 out, nobody on, the 3-2 pitch is hit foul. Prado has grounded out twice. Trying to get on in front of Adrian Gonzalez. We'll have to deal with the left-hander, John Lester, in his first at bat. Another 3-2 pitch to Prado. Pop up on the infield. Jeter is out for out number 2. And here are some of the surprise teams. And these are division leading teams in the National League. Braves have been hot after a poor April. The Central division is led by Cincinnati, and just pitching for the San Diego Padres. These three have combined 40 games back at the All-Star break last year. Mentioned the Padres were 20 out. It's Joey Votto, who was the online edition, voted into this All-Star game. San Diego, I think you look at a guy like Adrian Gonzalez, Tim, and coming into the season, you thought Adrian Gonzalez might be wearing a different uniform by this point in this season. Nobody expected Bud Black's team to do anything in the NL West, and here they are leading at the break as that one is fouled down the line and out of play. Strike one.
If not traded by the break, at least traded at the deadline. But the Padres are contending now, and I don't think you're going to see Adrian Gonzalez going anywhere.
They're right now in a position where they're looking to add to that team.
Sure.
It's a team where you do not want to be behind after 6 innings. Their bullpen has been terrific. The 1-1 pitch is down and away, ball 2. Here's a 2-1. Good pitch by Lester, 2-2.
Gonzalez pulling out of there a little bit. The thing about Adrian is that he has power to all fields. Tremendous power to left field.
Also a 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. He can do it all. 2-2 pitch is in the dirt. Full count. Another lefty, the DH, Ryan Howard, on deck. Tim, you talk about a guy who has power to all fields, and with Adrian Gonzalez power the opposite way, a team like Boston with the Green Monster in left field, that is a park that he could just wear out. He waits for a 3-2 pitch with 2 out, nobody on from John Lester, and grounds it to the right side for Kinsler, just into the game. Off we go into the bottom of the 6th. 1-0 AL. Give it the freecreditscore.com in-game box score for the American League. Longoria with a hit, doubled. He also walked and scored the only run so far. A hit for Miguel Cabrera came in the first inning. Not much offense on either side, and Halladay slings it home, and a flare into right center field. No catch by Marlon Byrd, and Jeter is on to start the 6th.
Marlon Byrd did not have a good jump, diving, and a nice try, but just eludes him, does the ball.
So Jeter is on base for the 2nd time in this game. He'll be lifted for the pinch runner. Paul Konerko will dig in at the plate, and Elvis Andrus is the runner at first. Andrus takes over. And you look at some of the changes defensively for the National League. Brandon Phillips at second base. Rafael Furcal at short. We mentioned Halladay on the mound. Here's Konerko. So they're coming fast and furious now, all the changes. And the numbers for Konerko is hit 20 home runs in the first half of the season. And it's the White Sox, by virtue of their 25-5 record over the last 30 games, come into the break as the division leaders in the AL Central. Halladay gets it past the bat of Konerko, a ball and a strike.
Halladay with baseball's perfect game, the 20th in the history of the game. On May 29th against Florida, his opponent was Josh Johnson. He won 1-0.
There's a foul with Andrews on the run. He'll have to come back to first, and the count's 1-2.
Yeah, Joe, you and I were talking to Eddie Einhorn, part owner of the Chicago White Sox, before the game, and marveling at what the White Sox have done over the last 6 weeks. Yesterday, I asked Paul Konerko if he had ever been on any team at any time in his career. He broke in as a catcher with the Dodgers, went to the Reds, then the White Sox for a long time. That's been as hot as the Sox. He said no.
Saw that note on June 11th. The White Sox were 8.5 games out in a good division with a good Minnesota team in the Central, a good Detroit Tigers team in the Central. But it's the White Sox on top, and Andrews gets backhand first on the bag. Konerko's first at bat, taking on Roy Halladay, who has 51 complete games, by far the most in baseball since 2003, the year he won the Cy Young Award with the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's a foul out of play off to the right. Ball and 2 strikes on Konerko. Halladay not only gives you wins, but like Cliff Lee will do for the Texas Rangers, he takes such a load off your bullpen. He's a guy that has gone 7 innings or more in all but 3 starts this season, and Cliff Lee is really going to take a load off what is becoming an overworked bullpen with the Texas Rangers. Here comes a 1-2. 2-2. Interesting note about Halladay. He's one of just 3 pitchers all time to throw a perfect game and win 10+ games before the All-Star game. Others are David Wells in '98 with the Yankees, Randy Johnson in '04 with the Diamondbacks. Runner going, and a stolen base, and then out as Andrews came off the bag. So it's a strike him out, and in the end throw him out. Double play as Andrews is tagged.
Now you can see Brian McCann, the double clutch. He went ahead and threw it, and a good play by Brandon Phillips to stay with the tag. Andrews, I think he thought the ball went through. We talked about David Wright earlier not seeing the ball, but watch how Andrews steps up, doesn't know where the ball is. Phillips did. Tagged him out.
It goes down as a caught stealing. 2-4 with the second baseman Phillips hanging in there with a tag, and the batter is Josh Hamilton, who's 0 for 2. That's strike 2.
So Phillips leaping for the ball, making the play, and then making the tag before the foot is on the bag. Good play by Phillips.
David Ortiz comes into the on deck circle. 0-2 pitch. Hamilton fights it off. So a 1-0 game as we play here in the bottom of the 6th with 2 out. Now nobody on. Here's an 0-2. Ball 1. Ubaldo Jimenez started. 2 innings, 2 hits. Josh Johnson, 2 perfect innings. Quo, an unearned run, 2/3 of an inning. The only run so far tonight. Here's a 1-2. Hamilton waited on it and just chopped it off to the right. Still 1-2. In the 7th inning, the scheduled hitters are the DH Ryan Howard, then Rolen and Matt Holliday for the National League as Hamilton squirts one foul left side. Josh Hamilton with a huge month of June. 9 home runs, an average of .454 as Matt Capps gets loose. Hamilton has moved to and stabilized left field for the Rangers with Bourbon in center. He's fought through injuries in his career, but he is as strong as anybody in the game. As
as he takes ball 2 down and away, 2-2. Third straight year voted in as a starter. Hamilton waits. Here it is, and another foul. Good at bat by Hamilton. Josh had an RBI chance back in the first and third, 1 out, but bounced into a double play. Started by Ubaldo Jimenez. Another from Halladay. Over below, full count. Again, if Hamilton can reach, David Ortiz, the home run derby champ, waits on deck to bat for Guerrero. And he has done just that. Josh Hamilton is on second hit of the inning. First of the night for Hamilton, and here comes David Ortiz. American League will watch the National League manager Charlie Manuel make his way to the mound. And he is going to go to the bullpen. So Halladay is out after 2/3 of an inning. Base hit by Hamilton chases him. And another pitching change for the NL. David Ortiz will pinch hit for Vladimir Guerrero. Pinch runner is Jose Bautista from the Blue Jays. He's at first running for Josh Hamilton. And here's Matt Capps, who was the closer for the Washington Nationals, trying to end this 6th inning. 2 hits in the inning for the American League. They lost a runner on the bases, Andrews. And the first pitch to Ortiz is up and away, ball 1. David Ortiz in the month of April hit .143, 1 homer, 4 RBIs. They have a shift on in the infield, and Brandon Phillips is in shallow right field, the second baseman. That's outside. 2-0 from Capps. Ortiz, in fact, at the end of April on the 27th in Toronto, was pinch hit for by Mike Lowell, and it looked like his days were numbered with the Boston Red Sox. And he has turned it on since that poor April. Slow start as he had last year. There's a strike.
Well, there are some guys that have bounce back years. Adrian Beltre, David Wright, Vernon Wells, Vlad Guerrero. But what Ortiz has done, he's bounced back during the same year after that horrible April. Who would have thought that he'd be on the All-Star team?
17 home runs since 1 during that first month. Backing out of play, 2-2. And the Red Sox have needed it. They have Adrian Beltre, who is a fellow All-Star, who's done a tremendous job at third base, signing a 1-year deal. As they and the Tampa Bay Rays are looking up at the New York Yankees in the AL East. Tampa Bay 2 out, Boston 5 out, and hoping to get healthy at some point here early in the second half. Matt Capps, who last year was with the Pirates, tendered a contract, signed with the Nationals, and here he is, an all-star, and a tailing fastball gets Ortiz looking. 2 hits, a man left into the 7th, 1-0 AL. Back after this from your local Fox station. MLB Commissioner Bud Selig is with Laura Ziskin, one of Hollywood's leading producers and a co-founder of Stand Up to Cancer, which brings together the brightest and most innovative minds in the field of cancer research in order to shorten the path to finding a cure. MLB has contributed over $30 million, and you too can help by going to standuptocancer.org. And so a number of changes as this game moves into the 7th inning. Joey Votto is going to pinch hit for Ryan Howard against the new pitcher Phil Hughes. And after the first pitch, he grounds one right into the gut of Ian Kinsler. 1 out. We go down to Chris Rose with Derek Jeter.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. Derek, you are 9-0-1 all-time in all-star games, so all you have to do is face Jimenez and Johnson when you can't see the ball, and when you finally can, go take your hacks at Roy Halladay. That's not fair.
It really isn't. I mean, these guys are tough enough, and I think that's why you don't see too many runs. A little tough to see, but you know, pitching stats for both teams are impressive.
Obviously a very tough day for the entire New York Yankee family with the passing of the boss, George Steinbrenner. What is it that you knew about him that the public did not?
I knew a lot about him that the public doesn't know, but I think the one thing that stands out is how much he cared about his players, how much he cared about the community, whether it's in New York and Tampa where he lives or anywhere in the country. He really gave back, and I think a lot of times people didn't really pay much attention to that because they knew him as this vocal owner, but he really cared about people.
Derek, as always, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Joe, back on up to you.
All right, Chris, thank you, and thanks to Derek Jeter. Here's a swing and a miss by Scott Rowland. It's his first at bat. Counts 2 balls and a strike. Rowland up. Matt Halladay on deck. And Jeter talking about the other side to George Steinbrenner. Here's a 2-1. That's fouled back. Joe Girardi, Tim, talked to us about Mr. Steinbrenner before the game, and he said people didn't know as much about his contributions to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America or what he did for children of officers who fell in the line of duty in Tampa where he lived. And when you think about George Steinbrenner, you think about a Titan owner in this game or in American sports, as Rowland fouls one back. There was the soft side, but there was also the side, Tim, where any fan is hoping that there's that covenant with their owner that they're going to try to make the team as good as they can, spend what they can to make it a competitive team, and there was nobody out there swinging for the fences more than George Steinbrenner.
Nope.
Foul backing out of play by Rowland. Bought the team in 1973 for $8.7 million. Under his watch, 7 World Series titles, 11 AL pennants, best winning percentage in baseball. One of the great American businessmen to come along in the last 50 years. Here's a base hit into center off the bat of Rowland.
Well, to give you an idea of how good a businessman he was in 1973, of that $8.7 million, only $168,000 was George Steinbrenner's. And he built the Yankee dynasty into a huge, what Forbes, I guess, says that it's worth $1.5 billion. That might be low.
One of his pitchers is Phil Hughes, who's taken over. He took care of Votto on the first pitch. A base hit by Rowland, who's such a big part of the Cincinnati Reds' success as they lead the Cardinals by a game, and Matt Halladay of the Cardinals fouls one out of play.
And you have got to tell the story of what Rowland told you about A.J. Pujols.
Well, obviously Rowland played for the Cardinals, and he was friends with a lot of the Cardinals. And when Rowland showed up here to go into the autograph room to sign memorabilia, Albert was in there with his son A.J. Here's a fastball that misses outside, a ball and a strike to Matt Halladay. And A.J., Albert says to A.J., A.J., you remember Scott Rowland? And A.J. said, what are you doing here? Like, how did you become an all-star, Scott Rowland? And he is very deserving here in 2010 as that pitch is low for ball 2 to Matt Halladay.
Out of the mouths of babes.
And Rowland laughed. He said, I mean, how honest is that? And how real is that? I mean, he's undergone a couple of shoulder surgeries. His power seemingly was gone from his swing, and that's not the case anymore. As Halladay chases it from Phil Hughes, who's from the area. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Matt Halladay getting his first at bat. Andre Ethier, who started and is still in the game, is on deck. Tying run at first with 1 out here in the 7th. And the 2-2. Back up the middle. Back-to-back hits. Rowland is going to turn and go. The throw by Torrey Hunter is wide. And Rowland, known as one of the best base runners in the game, takes an extra base, and he's 90 feet away with 1 out.
John Vukovich, third base coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, passed away about 3 years ago. And he told me when Scott Rowland was with the Phillies that Scott Rowland, because of his foot speed, was the best base runner he had ever seen. And that's years and years of coaching experience and as a third base coach. And he does it again.
He ran on the 9-time Gold Glove Award winner Torrey Hunter in center, and now the tying run is 90 feet away. Matt Thornton coming in from the White Sox as the NL threatens. Well, when we talked about managers and Major League Baseball putting these rosters together with a different mindset now, it opens the door for situational type relievers, and that's exactly what Matt Thornton is. He's been so good for the White Sox, and he takes on a pinch hitter, Chris Young from the Diamondbacks, who's hit 15 home runs, 5th in the National League with 61 RBIs. And here he is with an opportunity to tie this game with one of a number of things. Tying run at third. Scott Rowland 1 out, the 0-1. Down and in, a ball and a strike.
The American League needs a strikeout, and Thornton leads the American League in strikeout percentage. 49 strikeouts in 36 2/3 innings.
Here is a 1-1. And Young pops it up. Right side in foul territory, and Canerco hauls it in for out number 2. So Chris Young got his chance, and it's Matt Thornton who wins that battle. And it's now in the lap of Marlon Byrd. First at bat for Byrd, the only representative from the Chicago Cubs, a team that 2 years ago had 8 players representing the team. 1 last year and 1 here in 2010. And in the words of their manager Lou Piniella, they will likely be sellers, not buyers, by the trading deadline. Byrd, after the first pitch, fouls it out of play, strike 1.
You have a North Sider against a South Sider right here. The South Side of Chicago with Matt Thornton against the Chicago Cubs, Marlon Byrd.
Marlon Byrd was voted onto this team on the players vote. 32 years old, signed a 3-year deal with the Cubs, and he has been one of the big pluses for Chicago this year. That's a foul ball, and that's strike 2. Here comes the 0-2 pitch to Marlon Byrd, and it's high from the lefty Thornton. So the good base running by Scott Rowland puts him at third, but a big out by Thornton as he gets Chris Young on the foul out to the first baseman. Now the 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
See those 2 riding fastballs. It's very difficult, obviously, on the catchers. There are only 2 catchers per team, and trying to catch a different pitcher every inning, sometimes 2 in an inning. A lot of pressure with a guy at third. The tying run.
John Buck of the Blue Jays is the catcher. 2-2 pitch is high again. 3-2. On deck is the only remaining catcher for the National League, Brian McCann. He cannot be lifted for a pinch hitter. So Thornton would get the chance to face a lefty if he doesn't get Marlon Byrd to end the top of the 7th. Runner goes, and a pop foul out of play off to the right. It was 0-2. Now it's 3-2. Means the go-ahead run at first. Holiday will take off with the pitch, and another foul. Marlon Byrd finally established himself with the Texas Rangers for 3 years after an up and down existence with the Philadelphia Phillies, then the Washington Nationals, and he really worked hard to get back into this game. Got the free agent deal from the Cubs over the offseason. 34 multi-hit games so far in 2010. He could tie this thing. 3-2. And that'll load him up. So 2 hits and a walk. We give you sounds of the game. Brandon Phillips wearing a mic, yelling out to Torrey Hunter when Scott Rowland went first to third.
Yeah! Yeah! That's what we do in Cincinnati. We go first to third, baby.
That's what Rowland did. That had his teammate Brandon Phillips excited in the dugout. Now McCann swings at the first pitch and fouls it down the right side, just out of play. So 2 hits against Phil Hughes. Thornton came on to get Young on a foul out, but then lost Marlon Byrd, and now the bases are loaded for McCann.
Speaking of losing it, it was tough for the hitters to see when this game began. It's tough for the outfielders to see on fly balls right now in the twilight.
Here's the 0-1. Ripped into the right field corner off the bat of McCann. Rowland scores. Tie game. Holiday scores. NL leads. Here comes Marlon Byrd. Brian McCann has unloaded the bases. 3-1 NL.
The biggest National League hit in 13 years. Brian McCann got a fastball and hammered it down the right field line. Byrd trucking from first, scoring rather easily, and the National League takes the lead.
They lead by 2. Thornton is out. McCann excites the National League dugout. And a pitching change here in the top of the 7th. It's the NL smiling, up by 2. Brian McCann is the hitting hero right now for the National League. The bases clearing double. It's 3-1 NL, and Andrew Bailey, the closer for the A's, 18 saves, 10th best total in the American League, takes over and deals with one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball, Rafael Furcal. Switch hitter takes low, ball 1. Bailey is the 3rd pitcher of the inning, and Phil Hughes, who started this inning and allowed 2 hits, 1 to Rowland, 1 to Matt Holliday, is on the hook. Thornton couldn't get McCann, and now Furcal takes ball 2. AL Rookie of the Year in 2009 was Andrew Bailey. He's dealing with Rafael Furcal. Since he returned to the Dodgers after the passing of his father and went down to the Dominican Republic, is hitting .417. He takes a strike. Runner at second with 2 out, and Furcal comes up empty, 2-2.
That looked like a splitter, a changeup to Furcal on a fastball count. Good pitch from Bailey.
They're the numbers since June 24th, and where Furcal ranks across baseball. That's way wide. Full count. The American League will have Wigginton, who's in the game at 3rd base, taking over for Longoria, then John Buck, and then Ian Kinsler in the bottom of this 7th. Here's a 3-2 to Furcal. Down and in. Another walk.
Trevor Cahill was scheduled to be the Oakland Athletic representative in the All-Star game, but he started on Sunday. He knew how badly Andrew Bailey wanted to come. He had been told by Bob Guerin on Saturday that don't make any plans during the All-Star break. Cahill came in on Sunday morning and faked being sick. He said, "I don't think I can go today."
which then would have made him eligible to pitch tonight.
Exactly.
And would have kept Bailey out of the game.
And then everybody got a laugh about it. And Bailey followed Cahill out to the bullpen when he warmed up to make sure that everything was all right.
Here's Brandon Phillips as Adam Wainwright gets loose from the St. Louis Cardinals to work the bottom of the inning. That's blocked by Buck. And Brandon Phillips, who, if you don't know about him, is one of the more dangerous hitting second basemen in the game. See the numbers in that little note. It's his first All-Star game. He replaced Chase Utley on the roster. Martin Prado got the start, and now it's Phillips, the 29-year-old from the Reds. That's another one in the dirt, ball 2. Phillips, a Gold Glove Award winner in 2008, was drafted by Montreal. When he had scholarships to play both baseball and football at Georgia. And he was picked up by Cincinnati in April of 06 for a player to be named later. 07, he was a 30-30 player with over 30 homers and 30 stolen bases. Two on, two out, 2 balls and a strike on Phillips. Good pitch inside corner, 2-2. Since 06, Phillips has hit 100 home runs, stolen 115 bases. He's trying to add to a 3-1 National League lead and do it against the A's closer Andrew Bailey. That's foul down the right side. Brian McCann is the lead runner at second. Rafael Furcal, with great speed, could probably catch McCann, is the runner at first. Here comes a 2-2. Phillips strikes out on a nasty breaking ball, and that ends the inning. But here we are after 6.5, with the National League up 3-1 over the American League. Nick Swisher off the bench to bat for the American League, and right after the first pitch delivered by Adam Wainwright. Chris Young stays in the game, the pinch hitter. He's in center. That moves Marlon Byrd over to right. And Adam Wainwright, who has put together a great run for the St. Louis Cardinals over the last couple of years and is a 13-game winner, snaps off one of those tremendous curveballs for strike 2. Nick Swisher was the internet vote. He won on the American League side. Joey Votto on the National League side. Soriano getting loose for the AL as Wainwright brings it and skips it in, ball 1. At home, he's undefeated. Wainwright. On the road, good ERA, a record of 4-5. Finished third in the Cy Young voting last year when he won 19. And maybe more importantly, has the most wins and the lowest ERA in baseball in the last 2 seasons. Adam Wainwright. Here's a 1-2. Another foul.
You know, that's one graphic that's easy to explain. 9-0 at home, 4-5 on the road, because all the mounds on the road are different in the different parks. The mound at Busch Stadium in St. Louis is going to be the same. I'm really surprised that more pitchers don't have much better home records and poorer road records.
A curveball gets Swisher for round number 1 in the bottom of the 7th. Batter now is John Buck, and he takes ball 1. John Buck finished second in the American League among catchers in the players voting. Had to cancel the trip to Niagara Falls with his wife to be here, and he shoots one to left off the glove of Matt Holliday. And Buck is on at second with 1 out here in the 7th. So one Cardinal cannot help out another as Holliday got there and couldn't make the catch.
Well, that's a ball that should have been caught. I think Matt would tell you that. Got a little turned around, bad route to the ball, and John Buck has the double.
It is a double with one out, and it brings in the tying run. Ian Kinsler, who was a 30-30 man last year, hit 31 home runs in a hitter-friendly park in Arlington, Texas. Tying run at the plate. Wainwright brings it, and ball one up and away. Ian Kinsler is a .398 career hitter here at Angel Stadium. That is the highest all time. Gets a lot of action out here as both are in the AL West, and that's ball 2, 2-0. On deck is Vernon Wells. Here's a 2-0 pitch from Adam Wainwright. Fastball sneaks in at 95, 2-1. Here's a 2-1. Down and away, 3 balls and a strike. Wainwright is no stranger to pitching late in a ball game, not only as a starter, but he was the closer for the Cardinals back in their 2006 championship run.
Curveball to Carlos Beltran to end the National League Championship Series.
That's ball 4, and it's 2 on with 1 out. Had 4 saves during the postseason in 2006. Our Lexus fastest pitch speed graphic. Price hit 100. Verlander just below it, and Josh Johnson with 99 as well. A double, a walk, and an opportunity here for the American League with Vernon Wells stepping in for the first time tonight. It's been a big bounce back year for Vernon Wells. Wainwright chopped to short for Kyle, the second, and the only out is Phillips. Kept his foot on the bag. No chance with the speed of Wells to turn 2 on a ball hit that softly, 2 out.
Saw a good play by Brandon Phillips earlier in the game, staying with the tag of Elvis Andrews, and now he makes another good play, realizing the double play's out of the question.
Here's Torrey Hunter. Gets a nice hand. He flied out to right his first time. And with that Angels across his chest, digs in here at Angel Stadium.
And the Rally Monkey made its first appearance here with an Angel at the plate. How about that?
Tying run at first, 2 out, and a ball down and away from Wainwright. Wainwright trying to get around that double off the glove of Holiday and left. Then the walk. The 1-0. A good curveball, strike 1.
In case you may not know about the Rally Monkey here at Angel Stadium, Rally Monkey may show its head in the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. How appropriate Torrey Hunter is thinking right now.
Here's a 1-1 from Wainwright. First and third, 2 out. Fooled on the pitch, strike 2.
Well, what a tough breaking ball from Torrey Hunter.
Now the 1-2 from Adam Wainwright. Got him to end the inning. Rafael Soriano, the closer from the Tampa Bay Rays, takes over, fires a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, fouled by Adrian Gonzalez, and we're underway in the top of the 8th. The National League leading by 2. They're the numbers for Soriano. The Tampa Bay Rays, who are 2 games out in the AL East. Adrian Beltre takes over at third. The only position player left for the American League is Alex Rodriguez. Here's a fly ball into left. Wells is there, 1 out. And Adrian Gonzalez is 0 for 2 since entering the game back in the 4th. Bring in Joey Votto. Meanwhile, the National League is left with Omar Infante and Michael Bourne. The bullpens at this point have plenty of arms left, and there's Alex Rodriguez, the only available bench player. If there is an injury, Ty Wigginton has been designated as a player who can re-enter the game. Votto gets it off the end of the bat, flies it into center. 2 out. Aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. Now all the TVs in your home can be connected to just one DVR. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
You know, that's a roster. That is a roster that should be sent to Cooperstown. Everybody has played in the game, every position player but Alex Rodriguez.
Alex Rodriguez, the guy who has 597 home runs.
Yeah.
Joe Girardi is saving him for the right spot late. And there is no Mariano Rivera presence lurking on either side. You have younger closers that the National League will call on. Guys like Broxton, Brian Wilson. Haven't seen Evan Meek, a lefty specialist. Arthur Rhodes, as Valverde from the Detroit Tigers gets loose. Soriano came to the Rays from the Atlanta Braves. And he's been outstanding. He replaced Mariano Rivera. Brian Wilson gets loose from the Giants for the NL. 3-1. I think if you ask Soriano, he'll say, well, I finally have a more defined role. He's got 50 saves since the beginning of last year. Here's a 3-1 instead. Rolen hops out. Just talking going to break about the reaction of Adam Wainwright. Just happened to catch it on his way off the mound where he reacted, kind of pumped his fist low key, but still got out of that jam in the bottom of the 7th. Here's a fly ball into left. Vernon Wells to his right. Plenty of room and time to end the inning. Both dugouts still jam-packed with players. Not many left available to play in this game as we go to the bottom of the 8th. NL up by 2. Closer from the Giants, Brian Wilson takes over with Michael Bourne in the game in left field to improve the defense. Holiday is finished, and Wilson, one of the 2 young closers available to manager Charlie Manuel, pumps home strike 1. Brian Wilson showed up with a mohawk haircut for the media day, and he pumps home another 98. And 2 quick strikes on Elvis Andrus.
I'll tell you, with Brian Wilson's arm, he is a very hard thrower. Hard to believe he was picked 24th in the draft back in 2003.
He has the 3rd most saves in baseball since he became the full-time closer in 2008. Throwing hard, 98, that's high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Valverde is getting ready for the American League. Here's a 1-2. Breaking ball, and Andrus fouls it back to the screen. Elvis just 21 years old. Last year tied the club rookie record in Texas with 33 steals. And he led all American League rookies in hits, runs, total bases, stolen bases, and triples. On 1 and 2, a soft chopper to Brandon Phillips. 1 out. First at bat for Andrus, and he is gone. We'll bring in Canerco with Jose Bautista on deck. Canerco struck out in his only at bat. That happened in the 6th. Cabrera started the game at first and went 1 for 2 while he was in there.
The American League hopeful of getting Canerco on there so they can have Bautista, who leads the majors in home runs, up at the plate.
Good breaking ball from Wilson. Strike 1. He leads. Bautista leads the league in home runs with 24. That is the lowest total, home run total, to lead at the All-Star break since 1993. The 0-1 pitch to the third baseman, Rowland. He's automatic. 2 out. One of the best ever defensively at third base. The 2 out, nobody on. Batter is Bautista, takes a strike.
Joe, we talked in our opening about the National League pitching. If the National League was going to have a chance, it was going to be their pitching, and their pitching has certainly delivered so far this evening.
Just an unearned run has scored for the American League against the NL. From Jimenez to Johnson, Quo, to give up the unearned run, his error, the reason why. Heath Bell, Halladay, Capps, Wainwright, Wilson. We could see Broxton before the end of the night. Here comes a 1-1. Popped up right side. Adrian Gonzalez will give it a look. He has a play, an uneventful 8th inning, and very quick and effective work by Wilson. Here comes the absolutely nasty pitching of Jose Valverde. First season in the American League after 7 years in the National League. Opponents are hitting just 125 against him. Lefties only 086. As Jonathan Broxton will try and end this game on the mound for the National League in the bottom of this 9th inning. First at bat for Michael Bourne, who is playing in his first All-Star game and who has the most stolen bases in baseball since coming to the Astros in the November 7, 2007 trade that sent Brad Lidge to the Phillies. And Bourne is gone in a blink. 1 away.
That's that splitter from Valverde going down. Goodness. When you see a right-handed hitter holding left-handed, or right-handed pitcher holding left-handed hitters to an 086 average, you know he's got a good splitter. A good swing and miss, put you away pitch.
And all Bourne can do is smile about that at bat. It didn't last long. With 1 out, nobody on, here is Chris Young, second at bat. Point I was trying to make earlier with regard to Wainwright being excited getting off the mound, or Charlie Manuel with the way he's managing this game, the way the National League made up this roster, why he wanted Bourne available as a good outfielder, as a guy who could lead off here and try and get on base and use his legs, steal a base. Prior to that whole "this time it counts" campaign after the 2002 tie, what we were seeing before that were guys getting an at bat, maybe 2 at bats. They'd leave the dugout. They'd go back to the clubhouse. Not all, but some. They'd head out of town and enjoy the rest of their All-Star break. Heath Bell still wearing high-tech 3D glasses that have absolutely no use when you're not watching a 3D television.
Yeah, especially the pitchers staying out of the game.
I mean, that's what we saw in the game at Yankee Stadium 2 years ago. There's Heath Bell. Now it's, I'm sure, become some sort of, I don't want to take them off now we're leading, I'm going to keep them on for the rest of the game. But guys are staying in the dugout, starters waiting to see who's going to win this game and trying to celebrate with their teammates. That has changed that aspect of the game, and Valverde celebrates as he does after another strikeout. 2 out in the 9th. But we saw that 2 years ago in that 4-3 win for the American League in the 15-inning game at Yankee Stadium that lasted deep into the night and into the early hours of the morning. Starters still in the dugout, leaping out. So that change has had that effect, whether you like that change in the rule or not. Certainly plenty's been said about it. There's a fastball for a strike to Marlon Byrd. Byrd drew a walk in his only previous plate appearance, and that preceded the 3-run double by McCann with 2 out in the 7th inning. Made it 3-1 NL. 1 ball, 1 strike. The American League, when they bat in the bottom of this 9th, will have Ortiz to lead it off. He's taken over as the DH. Alex Rodriguez is on that bench, and Valverde is 1 strike away from striking out the side here in the 9th.
Again, that downer.
Inside 2-2. And there is the hero tonight for the National League, Brian McCann. On 2-2. That just missed a full count.
See Valverde and Byrd smiling at one another. Byrd is not biting the 1-2 splitter, the 2-2 splitter. Still alive.
And now waiting on a 3-2 pitch, trying to extend the top of the 9th. Here it is, and a foul as Bird's in a battle. I like to see major leaguers smile. It's okay to smile out there.
It's all right.
Marlon Byrd is having fun in this at bat, trying to figure out a way to get Valverde. Cubs will start the second half 9.5 games out in the NL Central. Another 3-2 from the right-hander, and another foul ball from Marlon Byrd. There's Brandon Phillips. He's giving us a smile down in that dugout.
That's the thing I do.
And the young 21-year-old Jason Hayward right in front of him. Not eligible tonight, but he'll be eligible in other years, I'll tell you.
A strikeout ends the inning, and Valverde strikes out the side. Well, here is Jonathan Broxton getting ready to try and close this game and save it for the National League. Since that tie in 02, the American League has won 7 straight games. There have been close calls. A Blaylock game-winning home run off Gagne in 03. 06, NL ahead in the 9th. Michael Young won it for the AL. 07 with Pujols on the bench. Rowan flies out with the bases loaded in 08. National League blows a late game lead. Last year, Crawford made that game-saving catch. Also hit a home run, was the MVP. And there have been 4 straight 1-run losses by the National League. And now it's, as you look at the numbers, Jonathan Broxton trying to close it, representing the Dodgers and dealing with David Ortiz first here in the 9th. 19 saves for the Dodger. And a line drives, a base hit into right field, and the American League puts their leadoff man on. So Ortiz is on. Adrian Beltre will get his first at bat.
Alex Rodriguez with 597 career home runs, the only available bat in a game-tying situation for Joe Girardi. And he's got to be looking for him right now.
Beltre takes a strike. There's A-Rod.
Well, if you don't pinch hit for Beltre, you can't pitch it for John Buck. So if A-Rod does pinch hit with one on in this inning, then it's got to be for Kinsler, who is third up. We'll see.
Third up after the hit by Ortiz, and now 2 strikes on Adrian Beltre. Jonathan Broxton brings it, and a strikeout for out number 1. He blew it right by him at 99 miles per hour.
We have seen a lot of 98 and 99-mile-an-hour fastballs tonight.
How about the National League's pitching tonight? 1 run, it was unearned. 8 strikeouts, 6 hits now, and 8 1/3 innings. And here is John Buck. Tim said you can't pinch hit for John Buck because he's the only catcher left. Kinsler is in the on-deck circle. 1 on, 1 out. 98 from Broxton, ball 1.
Well, Joe Girardi also realizes that Jonathan Broxton has given up only 1 home run all year.
And he's a strikeout artist. No pitcher in baseball in relief since 2006 has more strikeouts than Broxton. Breaking ball misses. It's 2-0. One on, 1 out, and now ball 3 from Broxton. Here's a 3-0. Swinging on 3-0 to try and tie it. 3 balls and a strike.
Joe Girardi saying, why not? Let John Buck go. Couldn't go to Niagara Falls. Try to hit his 2-run home run here.
The 26-year-old closer from the Dodgers. Broxton brings it on 3-1. Full count. Not much mystery as to what's coming to the plate. If you're Broxton, you can't get beat with anything but that, can you?
No, I don't think so. No sliders right here.
Tying run at the plate. And a fly ball off the end of the bat, falling in a hurry. Here comes a right fielder. Bird has to play it on a hop, and out at second on a brilliant defensive play by Marlon Bird. The slow-footed David Ortiz is forced at second, 2 away.
You can understand the plight of Ortiz on that short hop, the wherewithal to throw 1 hopper to Furcal at second base and get Ortiz. Ortiz going back to first, and by the time he commits to second base, a hit has turned into a force play. Great reactions by Bird.
with only one player left on the bench in Alex Rodriguez, and because David Ortiz didn't represent the tying run, he stayed in the game after getting the leadoff base hit. But he's forced at second on a ball that fell in and right. Now Buck is running. Here's a fly ball into right center, and there's Young. The National League wins it 3-1. And the celebration in the outfield between a Houston Astro, an Arizona Diamondback, and a Chicago Cub, and it's the Chicago Cub, Marlon Byrd, who made the best defensive play of this 81st MLB All-Star game.
To be as alert as he was and know who the runner was, of course, David Ortiz was caught in between first and second, right in front of him. The turnaround and the throw quickly to second base. Byrd can't make the play in the air. You can see Ortiz. That's Bird's shot. I guess a bird's eye view of Ortiz right there. And he was out at second. The defensive play of the game by Byrd.
A 2-hour, 59-minute game. Caps is the winner. Hughes suffers the loss, and the save for Jonathan Broxton in a 3-1 final. The streak is over. The National League wins for the first time since 1996. Plenty of action in the bottom of the 9th inning, and in the end the NL wins it by 2. Let's go down to the field. And we'll go down to Kenny Rosenthal, who's standing by with Torrey Hunter.
Thanks, Joe. Torrey, you guys had not lost this game since 1996. Did you think right to the end you were coming back?
Yeah, we thought right to the end we were trying to come back. They got a pretty good pitching staff over there, man. They got a lot of guys. They're throwing a lot more off speed than usual, and but they have great arms over there. And we tried to come back, but it just didn't work out for us. That three-run double from McCann is pretty impressive. It hurt us. It kicked our butt. I hate it.
You came up twice in big situations, runners on base. Obviously did not get it done. How much did you want to get it done?
Oh, yeah, you know that. I really wanted to get it done, and my first at-bat just missed it. You know, hit it a little too high, got good wood on it. My second at-bat, never faced Wainwright before, but he didn't throw me no fastballs, cutters off speed, and I didn't know what his ball was doing. And it's a little jumpy. It was a bad at-bat, but you know, we got to come back and do it next year. How about that?
Torrey, thank you very much. Let's go to Eric Karros on the National League side.
Hey, I'm over here with the killer bees tonight, Broxton and Byrd. Big man, come in and shut it down. How'd it feel?
It felt awesome. I mean, for us to get the win, I mean, to break the streak, and we just played hard tonight, and there ain't many words to say.
Shoot, you're smiling, man. That's some emotion. Great defensive play came in. Great at-bat, too. What were you thinking, though, getting Ortiz at second?
Gosh, I had to make up my mind, either dive or just try to let it drop and then spin and fire. So last second, I knew it wasn't getting there. Pick it up, fire. Hopefully I can get it there in time, and I did.
What were you thinking when you saw Marlon come in and make that play?
Well, I just hoping he was get there, but I knew he wasn't going to be able to right there at the end, and I seen David wasn't about halfway. I knew he didn't have great speed, so I figured he'd come up firing.
National League did it tonight, guys. Back to you.
All right, thank you, and thanks to Marlon Byrd and Jonathan Broxton, part of the winning side, as the NL wins it 3-1.
They've never done that before.
No. 3 different teams with the celebration and big smiles here in Anaheim. Back with more in a moment. There's the final score. Remember, at Holiday Inn, they've made some big changes, so you can stay you. Let's go down to the field and Chris Rose.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. It is time right now to present the Ted Williams All-Star Game MVP Trophy presented by Chevrolet. And for that, I welcome in the Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bud Selig.
Thank you, Chris, very much. And it's my pleasure tonight to present the Ted Williams Most Valuable Player Award, which is given by Chevrolet to the great young catcher of the Atlanta Braves, Brian McCann, who got a big double that cleared the bases, and he's the second Brave to win this award, first one since '94, and it gave the National League their first victory since 1996. Brian, congratulations.
Well, Brian, in terms of big hits in your career, where does this one rank? Because you were out there and pumping your fist and everything.
Right at the top. You know, you dream about moments like this as a kid, and tonight was just, it was amazing.
Year after year after year, the National League guys get the same questions. When are you going to finally win with this? Did it wear on you guys a little bit?
Yeah, you know, during media day, that's all we answered. So today was big. And home field advantage is big for the World Series, and whichever teams get there, it's going to be big.
Now, the last time the National League won this game was 1996. You were like 3. Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah, I don't know how old I was, but I was 8. I was 8. So, you know, I'm a huge baseball fan growing up, and this is just something like I'll always remember. My parents are here. My wife is home. You know, she's pregnant, and you know, I just want to say hi to her. And you know, this is just an amazing night.
By the way, Mike Piazza was the MVP, so it's got to be something about those National League catchers that get it done.
Yeah, he was one of my idols growing up, and you know, it's just nice to be here and win this award.
Have you thought at all, because obviously the National League now gets home field advantage in the World Series. You guys are sniffing that NL East crown. You know, it might be Atlanta, it might be Cincinnati, it might be San Diego. But have you thought about what it would mean for the Braves?
It'd be big. It'd be big for any NL team that gets there. And, you know, being in first place at the break, we've had a lot of guys on our team step up and play big. And, you know, it was nice just to come out here and be a part of this All-Star game.
Congratulations on the All-Star Game MVP award, Brian McCann. Job well done.
Thank you so much.
All right, so the National League, a winner for the first time since 1996. And he's the first Atlanta Braves MVP since Fred McGriff in '94.